Creatures of the night, it's a girl Tati. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite. This is the go home show. Now, I know we still have Rampage, which nobody watches, and we also still have Collision, and they get a good amount of views for that too. So, we do still have two shows where they can, put all their last ditch efforts to reel everybody in for the pay per view. Now, in terms of their biggest show, Dynamite is their biggest show out of all three of these shows. And last week they did 500,000 views in terms of viewers watching the show, which is very very bad. And unfortunately, I don't know what they're going to have to do to fix that. Hopefully, for tonight's episode, they do their usual numbers in terms of viewership. And in terms of a go home show, you guys, the pay per view is literally on Sunday. If I didn't already buy my pay per view, I wouldn't have felt like this would have encouraged me to purchase the pay per view. Obviously, I'm going to buy it because I review and do watch alongs. But in terms of looking at this, I'm not necessarily hyped up. We're in Buffalo, New York tonight. We start off with MJF coming out. And before he could really say anything, we have Daniel Garcia who comes out. Now, both these guys were scheduled to, speak in front of the crowd. They just decided to put these two guys together on the same segment. Long story short, before MJF can rip Daniel Garcia into shreds, Daniel Garcia decides to talk first and say nothing but nice things about MJF. And this kind of forces MJF to just be the good guy here and reciprocate and just say good things about Daniel Garcia, which I found to be very interesting because it's just like, okay, these two here, they have history with each other. Daniel Garcia lost his match, lost an opportunity to be champion, going against, MJF. And here they are. They could be ripping each other to shred. Instead, we're having a little bromance moment between the two of them, which I found to be very interesting. This would have been a cool opportunity to see Daniel Garcia really show his promo work in terms of trying to go back and forth with MJF. That doesn't happen. Okay, cool. But then, he goes on to say that him losing to MJF was a really big embarrassment to his career. And then MJF goes, well, you know what? Long story short, how about you and me at Wembley? And I said, Wembley, what? You talking about All In? Who want that? I don't want that. This is something maybe Dynamite, maybe if they, do a little build up and put it on Dynamite or Collision or whatever, but Wembley, this is supposed to be their biggest show of the year. I'm not feeling it. I personally don't care about that being on there. But then, before things could, really escalate after he said that, here comes Will Ospreay of all people, who goes on and let Daniel Garcia knows that he's been working hard and all that shit. And then next week on Dynamite for Beach Break, they're going to go against each other and the international title's on the line. And not only that, Will Ospreay goes on to fucking lie and say that not only the international title will be on the line, but the world title will also be on the line as well because he's going to be swerved for it. And I'm just like, look at his fairy tales. Look at him. Look at him telling fairy tales, bruv. Thanks a lot. Now he ends up leaving, and then here comes MJF leaving after that, and Daniel Garcia just standing there looking dumbfounded in front of the camera. And that's how we end things. I'm just like, what? This is it? It was very lackluster towards the end. I think, Will Ospreay coming out there was a turning point that really made it go from like, okay, these two guys are saying too many nice things about each other to, all right, Will Ospreay just changed the dynamic of this moment. And now the ending of everybody pretty much walking away from that situation felt very awkward. I didn't like this. Now, first match of the night, we had BCC. Yes, we had John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta. We also did have our boy Bryan Danielson on commentary. And they were going against Los Ingobernables de Japón. And this was a fun match. I really liked it. These are my boys. All of these guys here in the ring, I really do enjoy. We had Teton, we had Takagi, we had Takahashi. Takahashi comes out, but no Daryl Jr. Oh my gosh, I love Daryl Jr. Great match. This ends up ending in disqualification because John Moxley ended up hitting, I want to say it was Takahashi with the chair. I can't remember 100%. But he ends up hitting somebody with a chair. The referee goes and ring the bell. Now all 6 of these guys are fighting, and then all of a sudden you see on the big screen, you see what's his name, Naito on the screen, and I'm just like, oh, okay, be a satellite promo or something. But he actually does come out, and I know Naito. Naito got that like that suit type of gear look, and he takes everything off. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is a 2-hour show, Naito. You're taking too long. And John Moxley realizes it's a 2-hour show, so he goes up there and go fight him while he's taking off his clothes. And I'm just like, okay, fine. They're meeting up. They want to have them going at it or whatever. Bryan Danielson is out there. While we had Wheeler Yuta get his ass whooped by Takagi, Bryan Danielson going there pretty much helps his boy. He's like, no, don't put your hands on my stepbrother like that. We're gonna have a problem. And they keep saying, oh, these two can't fight. They can't fight before the pay-per-view. And I'm just like, well, why not? Give us a little bit of entertainment. This was okay. I preferred it than how they opened the show. But still, at this point, I was bored. Up next, we have Jay White versus Rey Fenix. Jay White comes out and he's with the Bang Bang Gang. And then here is Rey Fenix with Alex Abrahantes for whatever reason and Penta. Now, in my opinion, didn't they say that nobody couldn't be ringside for this tournament? I don't know why all these motherfuckers came out. And then right before that, it just seemed like things were just going to escalate with them being out there, especially the Bang Bang Gang. And whenever we say, you know what, all you motherfuckers get the hell up out of here. Y'all distracted me. I'm over it. They end up leaving, and then we get a proper match between the two of them. And it was great, but I do feel like maybe one time I kind of felt like, oh shit, Rey Fenix probably got this. But for the most part, I wanted it to be Jay White. Jay White, he needs singles gold. Yes, I know he got the, unified trios titles or whatnot, but I really do wish that we would have taken Jay White a little bit more seriously. He was one of those big signings for AEW, and after he had lost that streak that he had going on up until he had that match with MJF, I think he was doing really, really great. And then now he's just coasting with this group. I don't mind him part of the group, but I think we can do better with him having a singles title. He ends up winning the match. And you know what? I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this. He ends up advancing onto the tournament. However, we do have the Bang Bang Gang. They come out to celebrate. And then our stepdaddy and the patriarchy come out. And they're pretty much getting in each other's face. But they don't do anything. There's 4 guys in the ring. And then we have the patriarchy, including Mama Wayne. But then I thought about it. Yeah, Mama Wayne's out there. But Mama Wayne could probably kick somebody's ass. So it could have been 4-on-4. Who knows? I don't know in terms of a match and when we're going to get something between these two groups. But whatever happens here, I would rather see those titles leave, or at least one set of those titles leave, and maybe that would be best case scenario. So now we have the Young Bucks back there. They're over there holding these tag titles like they've been hogging them since they won them a little while back ago, which is just so annoying to me. Like, I don't care if they're healed. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to see reigning defending champions, and for whatever reason, that's just so hard to get in AEW all across all these titles, which is wild to me. Now, they're talking about how, whatever the hell they're talking about with their Acclaim. Who cares about that shit that they got going on with the Acclaim? But they did go on and say that for the Owen Hart tournament, that, before they said that, it was like, oh, Jack Perry's going to win the TNT championship, which I do believe would happen. And then they go on to talk about the Owen Hart Cup, and they said that the wild card person that's going to be going against Jeff Jarrett, I believe next week, it's going to be somebody that they know, one of their motherfucking friends that they're putting on the fucking thing. And that's the thing, because on the watch along, we was talking about who this wild card could be. We kind of didn't really have a true guess on it. But then when the Young Bucks come out there and pretty much let us know that it's a friend, I don't like it. Better not be Colt Cabana. Better not be Colt Cabana. Better not be Brandon Cutler or some useless person. But then someone did mention that it could be Hangman Adam Page. But they did pretty much dumped him the same time they announced Kenny Omega was participation in the Elite too. So I don't know. If it is Hangman, that would be interesting. But really, I'm over this whole thing and just them narrowing it down to being one of their friends. There's very, very few options. After this, man, the Acclaim come out. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck about what's going on with the whole Acclaim situation. But then here comes the Bucks with Okada. They come out. All these motherfuckers with titles, and really, there is no reason for it. They come out, and oh my god, I'm over it. They come out and they get into this whole thing and they want to have a match at Forbidden Door. And instead Daddy Ass goes, well, you know what? No, I know someone who would like to be in this match. And it turns out that it's Tanahashi of all people. Tanahashi could barely fucking walk and he's still participating in Forbidden Door. Oh my god. And I said this from before. I don't want to see fucking matches of what is pretty much AEW wrestlers versus AEW wrestlers for Forbidden Door. Y'all got a plethora of people y'all could use to make matches in CMLL and within New Japan. We don't want to see, other than the whole Osprey and Swerve thing, that makes sense or whatever. The TNT title, even that has a New Japan wrestler in there. Other than that, we don't want to see any of this stupid shit that y'all put it on together last second. So Tanahashi appears not via satellite, pretty much a little video package or whatever they're showing. And that's just pretty much it. Nobody cares. After this, we have Renee Paquette, who's with Orange Cassidy, can't stand this guy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Passa Mark Briscoe. And obviously, they're doing their whole little, I don't know, pep talk sermon thing that they normally do before they go out there. Kyle O'Reilly is going against the dreamy Zack Sabre Jr., and that match right there was just so good. These guys are just amazing. But at this point, once again, I'm bored. So bored. So now we have the ladies in action. We have trios action. We have Mariah May, Mina Shirakawa, Toni Storm versus Harley Cameron, Anna Jay, and Saraya. The match was okay. I was expecting to be drama between Team Toni Storm. There was a little bit of drama, but not what I was expecting. The match went on and they ended up taking the win. Mina takes the win for her team. Something about it wasn't as cohesive as I would have wanted it to, for it to be the only women's match on the show. I think there might be a lot of pressure on the women's to really try to perform at their best. And I hate it when it doesn't really come out that way. It was just okay. Now, after the match, the girls are hugging and they're drinking their little champagne or whatever. And I'm just like, there's just enough time for some drama, obviously. And then, Toni Storm goes to hug Mariah and Mina's feeling jealous. And Mina takes a bottle of champagne and she goes to smash it on Toni's head. Toni ducks and it is Mariah who gets hit. And it was absolutely insane. You see Aubrey Edwards way in the back, who's just watching all this drama unfold. I'm like, girl, she just got hit with a bottle. You just gonna stand there or what? All the referees come, the doctors come, and they go check up on Mariah. Drama for no fucking reason. And the acting could be better. After this, we have the Learning Tree. Oh, Lord. He comes out with Big Bill, and he comes out with the Good Apple. Is that what he called him? I think the Good Apple, Brian Keith. Lame. Absolutely. Look at what they did to my boy, Brian. Brian comes out. His arm's in a sling. I do believe he was hurt before that segment from last week. I think they played that off so that it could look like he had got hurt right there and then. He comes out with the sling. And they're talking shit. Shimojo, Shibata, Hook comes out. And they want to have, originally they were supposed to have a match at Forbidden Door. And then all of a sudden, they're looking for another partner because Brian can't compete. But then here comes our boy, the murder grandpa, Minoru Suzuki, who is on the big screen. And I'm just like, Suzuki wants to be partners with you? What the fuck? But then Suzuki's like, bitch, I don't want to be your partner. I want to go against you for the FTW title. And I'm just like, you know what? I'll take that. So we're not getting this trios match anymore. We're going to get Suzuki versus Chris Jericho. It's another last minute bullshit that they put on together, but I think it's better than seeing those three versus hooking them. I'm over it. But at least I know Suzuki. He might not win the title, but he's gonna whoop Chris Jericho's ass, and that warms my dark heart. Okay, on to my favorite match of the night. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kyle O'Reilly. And I'm gonna be real. They could have really let these two just fucking have match of the year. But there wasn't that much time. There was already like 20 minutes left, and this isn't even the main event. So I knew that this wasn't, I want to say rush, but they definitely didn't have enough time to really give like a pay-per-view quality match if they had more time to go with each other. We did have out in the crowd, sitting front row, we had the Undisputed Kingdom along with Gabe Kidd. And I thought that was interesting. And Gabe, he's sitting there looking pretty and he's blending in with the Undisputed Kingdom. I'm just like, oh, okay, he looks really great with this team. I could totally see him fitting in. Obviously, the Undisputed Kingdom, they are there to support their boy Kyle O'Reilly. And that I was okay with. But then Orange Cassidy is on fucking commentary. And I had to mute the show. I don't want to hear him talk. Now, match goes on really, really great. The chemistry is obviously there. But I'm just like, oh my God, this is just Dynamite. If this could have been on the pay-per-view, I honestly would have preferred to see Orange Cassidy out the pay-per-view and would have loved to see Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kyle O'Reilly for real in a pay-per-view quality match. I would have preferred that. But we're not getting that. These two give a really great match, and I do think that this was the best match of the night for me. And we do have Zack Sabre Jr. taking the win here. And it made sense for him to win because he's going against Orange Cassidy. He has to go in strong here. He takes the win with a armbar, which is interesting because, that's also Kyle O'Reilly's thing. He's been putting arm bars trying to put several arm bars onto Zack Sabre Jr., but takes the win. But whatever the situation is, after this, we do have the Undisputed Kingdom. They come out to go check up on Kyle O'Reilly, who obviously isn't doing so well. And then, a whole thing just, start breaking out. And then we also had the other guys from TMDK who come out. Orange Cassidy come into the ring. And I'm just like, I'm over it. And it seems like maybe they might beat up Orange Cassidy. But then I'm just looking at it. I'm just like, Orange Cassidy, you don't got no friends, girl. Like, who's going to come out and help you? Here comes Ishii. Ishii of all people. The last time Ishii was on AEW, he was on Collision. He had a main event match with Orange Cassidy. And obviously Orange Cassidy won that. And I'm just looking at the situation. I'm just like, well, really? Y'all want us to believe that they're friends? So I kept waiting on it. I kept waiting to see if Ishii was going to attack Orange Cassidy. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen. Main event time, we do have Gates of Agony. Well, obviously, Bishop Khan, totally on a Bishop Khan, give me a call. Versus Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. Very apparent on who's going to take the win here. Gates of Agony comes out in their cultural clothing, which I really do like. They had these two guys off to the side, and I know they're wrestlers, and I can't think of their names. Some indie guys, they ended up giving their clothes onto them, kind of like sitting there like some kind of tribal security or whatever. It was interesting. I'm looking at the Gates of Agony, and I know I said, Bishop Khan is a hell of a good-looking man or whatever. Toa Liona, who's only been a wrestler for 4 years, is really, I think, doing a great job. These guys, I don't know when they're going to get their break. I really don't. It makes sense for them to be in a match, at least opposite of Swerve Strickland. But Will Ospreay, obviously being his partner, is obviously to test to see how these two would be able to perform as partners. And I get that. But then I keep looking at the situation and I'm just like, no matter what, it's always the same people winning. It's always the same thing. Like nothing is, surprising anymore. And even for a go home show, it just felt like, okay, we don't even need to watch this match to know what goes on here. I would not have mind to see Will Ospreay and Swerve pretty much not getting along and seeing Gates of Agony take the win. That would have been a huge win for them. Does that do any harm towards Swerve and Will Ospreay? Personally, I don't think so. They're still both champions. They're still going against each other because they're in the same team. If they would have lost this match, it's nothing. And if they would have lost this match, they could have blamed each other for losing it and probably end up in a brawl after this match. And I think that right there would have brought up some more drama between the two of them. So personally, I would have been okay if it went that way. And like I said, this would have been a huge win for Gates of Agony. And it doesn't go that way. They have absolutely, improved as a team. And if you watch this match, you can really see that, Toa Leona and Bishop Khan looking like real contenders out here. And unfortunately, they don't get the win. They don't get the win. And, after this, though, we do have them staring down each other and they're over here holding titles in the air and all that stuff. Swerve gives Bruv a house call and then he ends up picking the title and then he, puts it on his shoulders all pretty and gold and shiny. And he's standing tall at the end of the show and he looks great. But I do feel like for a go-home show, it was very underwhelming. It really was. And it just took me back to a moment. Like I'm watching this and after the show, I just had like flashbacks of seeing those very last ditch efforts of pay-per-views from when I was younger. But those last shows, those go-home shows being a big fucking deal before the pay-per-views. And even Sunday Night Heat coming on before the pay-per-views, like even that shit was on and popping before the pay-per-view actually even came on. And it just took me back to it. Was like, damn, man, there used to be big stories being told. There used to be huge things to happen to really say, you know what? Y'all better go ahead and purchase this pay-per-view because look at what we're giving you. And nowadays, it's just like, I don't get that same feeling. And it's not just AEW. I feel the same thing when it comes to WWE too. Sometimes I feel like out of routine, you're just watching these things because you love pro wrestling and you want it to get better, but it could be better. There was a time where things were so much better. And I do feel like in terms of just AEW right now that we're talking about, there is so much more that they can do to make the product so much better. And like we said, last year, the ratings was horrible. This, not last year, last week, the ratings was horrible. And then this week, who knows what that would be. But like I said, if their go-home show is looking really low in terms of numbers, that's not a good thing. And we'll see what happens. I'm not even going to mention Rampage, but we'll see what happened with Collision. I don't know. Very underwhelming show. It's skippable. It really is. You're not missing anything if you missed this. Guys, thanks so much for watching my review. I'll be back tomorrow with a review on Ring of Honor. See you guys then. Bye.